Good morning, guys. Today we're going to be using an old soap, and this one is Wolf Spice, made by K Shaveworx and in collaboration with Wolf Whiskers. So, this was, you could only get these little 2-ounce pucks here after you bought a Wolf Whiskers custom. So, you'd get to the end where you're going to pay, and K Shaveworx had a couple options that were you could add to your cart at the end, basically. Or I should say Peter Wolf had a couple options that K Shaveworx made for him. So this is Wolf Spice, and it's basically, if my memory serves, it's the Old Spice scent, not the reformulated scent. So not the scent that they have these days, but the more vintage Old Spice scent. And to be honest, when I first got it, I had never smelled Old Spice, the vintage Old Spice. And, a lot of people in the hobby like Old Spice, a lot of people in the hobby are a lot older than I am. But I thought it kind of smelled like an old man, and I wasn't digging it at first. But one thing I've found the longer that I've been in this hobby and exploring fragrances and stuff like that is that stuff that I didn't like maybe 2 to 5 years ago, I'm liking now. And so it's something maybe to keep in mind for you guys as well. Maybe try something that you haven't tried in a long time and see if you still have the same feelings towards it. So I'm going to be using my Thader Silvertip here. Got it soaking in my little used candle container. So there's that. It's not the densest of brushes here. It's just a nice little, I believe it's 22 or 24 millimeter bulb. But really nice brush. I enjoy it quite a lot. So I got some pressed into my Lancaster bowl here, and we'll just get started. Before I get too long, one thing I notice about my videos is if I get on a rant in the beginning before I start lathering, it's gonna make for a long video, so I don't want to go too far before I get going. I haven't really had any complaints about the length, but I know I'm still a fairly small channel, and sooner or later there's gonna be those people that complain about the length, and I get it. Alright, so this is obviously an older soap. I don't even think Wolf Whiskers still offers these, although I haven't got a custom from him in a couple years, so I'm not sure if he still offers stuff like this. I don't think he did on the last one that I ordered from him. But, so this is definitely an older soap base. K Shaveworx has since made a newer soap base that I have not tried, but I've heard is quite good. And K Shaveworx soap base was always good back then, so I'm not really worried about it. Like I've said in a couple videos, it worked back then, it'll work now, If it got me a BBS shave with no irritation then, it'll get me a BBS shave with no irritation now. A lot of people move on. Yada, yada, yada. I've already said this stuff. But, being as it is an older soap, a soap of old, as I call it, it's one of those more pillowy, high structure, it's a little bit less dense and more airy than the new age soaps. But that said, it does have a ton of protection and all the slickness that you're gonna need. So we won't have any issues, I assume. Wet the face here. I actually had a long night last night, and I played hooky from work today. So I work at the post office, and I have about close to 300 hours of sick leave. It rolls over for a while until it hits a cap. And out of the multiple years that I've worked there, I've probably taken like 4 sick days total. It's not something I do normally. And I know my wife eggs me on sometimes. Why don't you just call in? And I'm like, no. I gotta go. In reality, I probably don't have to go. The sick leave is there for a reason. But I don't know. It's just the way I'm wired. But today was one of those days where I was just up late. I knew I wasn't going to get a lot of sleep. And I don't know. I just convinced myself to call in. I don't feel bad about it. Shit happens. One thing about this brush not being super dense is that it has great flow through. It's not holding on to that. It gives it up very easily. I think I had this one fairly dialed in. It feels good on the skin right now. I can see it has a nice sheen right now. I will say there is a balance to be had on the density of your natural hair brushes, because where this one gives up the soap really easily, it doesn't hold a lot, in the bulb. Like, I'm having to kind of squeegee it out to the max here because it just gives it all up. And that's probably, a lot of that is probably bulb, or not bulb size, knot size. A lot of that is probably knot size. Just get that away from the eye before I go blind. But yeah, a lot of that is probably knot size. But like I said, I think density probably has something to do with it. So, I'm going to be using my Gem Featherweight today. Whoop, got that nice shine going there. I got a Persona stainless blade in here today. That's been used twice, I believe, so this will be the third use. Alright, so here we go with the grain. The Featherweight is one of the smoother gem style razors that I've came across, and I would say in the community abroad it seems to have that same feeling where it just kind of has a reputation for being medium mild, somewhere just under the medium aggressiveness, but super smooth. And if you know your beard growth and the way that your beard grows and your grain map, you should have no issue getting a BBS if you're really familiar. And this is just, even though this is an older soap base, like I said, it was good then, it's good now. Definitely has all the slickness I'm gonna need. And I'll show you right now. There's no visible soap there anymore. Just go right across. Get this neckline. you haven't tried a gem razor, you really should. They're one of the more vintage styles that we have available to us. These ones are probably around the 1950s era, these featherweights, but there are some that go back to the beginning of the century, the 1900s there. And they have always been good. I was watching one of Uncle Fuzzy's videos, and you know, he was saying if they would have stopped making razors then, it would have been good enough. And he ain't lying. If they would have stopped making razors right then and there at the, you know, Gem 1912 or whatever, we would have got by. I mean, they're good razors. So I'm gonna grab another pat of soap here. Kind of spread it out, paint it on. These soaps didn't quite carry the density that soaps have today, but they always had the slickness that was necessary and enough cushion. I will say, I mean, there's obviously a noticeable improvement from back in the day, which back in the day was probably 2 years ago. There's a noticeable improvement, but it was definitely good enough to get your BBS then, and it still is now. All right, so that'll do on this second one here. A little bit less caked on, but really doesn't matter. I have more in the bowl and I could spread more around, but I know I don't need it. So against the grain here, got to remember to ride the cap on these gem style razors. They have that, you know, flat surface on them. Just ride the cap. That's the tip there. Put that flat surface up against your skin, and that's the angle you want to hold. Definitely different than your DEs, but it's easy to remember and it's really easy to learn, you know. It's not going to be something that you should struggle with for a long time. The learning curve is rather short with these. Now these, you know, these blades, they look like paint scraper blades. That's what everybody always says. Look like paint scraper blades, but these are not paint scraper blades. They are made specifically for shaving, and they are sharpened and ground in a far different fashion than paint scraper blades. So please don't go down to your hardware store thinking that you're going to get shaving supplies, because you're not. I think like CVS and Walgreens has a house brand gem style shaving blade that they offer. You can also always go to Amazon, and you know, if you do a quick Google search, there's definitely other places that offer them as well. I'm positive West Coast Shaving and Maggard's, probably Razor Emporium. You know, I'm positive there's more retailers out there. I believe I got mine on Amazon, my first batch of blades. But there's options out there. Definitely not as many options as DE blades, but there's enough options to kind of do some testing and find your favorite. That was a perfectly serviceable shave. And I'm not going to say I love Old Spice now. The scent, kind of circling back around to the beginning. I'm not going to say I love it now, but it's definitely went from I don't like it, smells like an old man, to it's pleasant, and I don't mind it. So, like I said, maybe dig out, that soap that's in the back of the box or in the back of your shelf that you've written off because you didn't like the scent, and for whatever reason you didn't just chuck it in the garbage or try to do a trade or a piff. You just held on to it like I did. Maybe dig it out, give it a sniff, and see if you still have the same feelings about it. Because, like I said, I've found that after a couple years, my tastes have changed, and stuff I didn't like then, I like now, or stuff I hated, I think's all right now. So, we all grow, and as your library of scent notes kind of expands, and you've smelt different combinations of things, and you kind of learn that what you might have written off isn't as bad as you thought. Alright, so that was a good shave. Still have a nice layer. It feels moisturized. Nothing crazy, not crazy moisturization, but it feels good at this point. I'm sure it won't be super long lasting. Soaps have came a long way, but definitely got a good close shave. It looks like I may have touched something there. It looks a little bit red, no blood, but all good, all good. So I'm going to be using this little sample of Barrister & Mann's Reserve Spice. So the Reserve line from Barrister & Mann is basically resurrecting old scents. Scents that are either no longer available or were from yesteryear, and they're bringing them back to in a premium soap base and aftershave base that we can enjoy. So this one, Reserve Spice, I believe is Old Spice. I could be wrong, but I did no research. That's pretty common. But it says aftershave splash, not for individual resale, barristerandmann.com. So I'm just going to snap this little cap off of the sample. These little sample containers that he sends are pretty cool. They probably have like a single use or two uses in them. You definitely don't want to store it away in the back of the den after it's been opened. You should probably get right to it. But as you can see, it's kind of like a cardboard lining with a little plastic layer there on the inside that holds it. It's kind of got this reddish hue to it. I got about a quarter's size in my hand now. I'm not sure if these are the same. They definitely smell a tad different, maybe in the same vein. Like I said, this might not be an Old Spice replication. But then again, it might be. Maybe the Wolf Spice is just a different take than the Reserve Spice. And that's perfectly reasonable if it is. I'm going to get a little bit more on here, because I think I got most of it on my cheeks. Or, on my neck and not on my cheeks. but now I smell like an old man, and I'm okay with that now. So that's going to do it for me, guys. I'll do a quick recap. Katie's Bubbles, or not Katie's Bubbles, K Shaveworx Wolf Spice in collaboration with Wolf Whiskers. I don't think it's available anymore, but maybe you might catch one on the buy-sell trades. Barrister and Mann's Reserve Spice, both really, really good. The Reserve aftershave is pretty damn quality stuff. So this is the Lancaster Razorworks Shave Bowl, as always. I got my little Thader's Silvertip Badger in here. And my gem Featherweight with the Persona stainless blade. Now with 3 uses on it and going strong. So that was a good shave, guys. Have a good Monday. Don't be afraid to use some sick leave. I'm sure you deserve it. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Cheers.